What if losing everything didn't make you angry, but kinda? Before the fame, before the money, Keanu Reeves lost his family, his child, and the love of his life. Most people would break. Some would turn bitter. But Keanu chose something rare: kindness. This is not a Hollywood success story. This is the story of a man who lost everything and still became one of the most loved people on earth. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button and ring the bell so you never miss an update. Now, let's dive into what really happened. What if I told you that one of the kindest men in Hollywood didn't grow up surrounded by comfort, confidence, or applause, but by uncertainty, loss, and quiet struggle? Long before the world knew his name, Keanu Reeves was learning how to survive a life that never felt stable. Keanu's childhood was far from normal. His father left the family when Keanu was still very young, creating an absence that followed him throughout his early years. His mother did her best to keep the family moving forward, but constant relocation became a part of his life. New homes, new schools, new faces. Again and again. Each move made it harder for Keanu to feel rooted or understood. School was especially challenging. Keanu struggled with dyslexia, which made reading and learning frustrating and slow. Teachers often misunderstood him, and classmates sometimes judged him. While others seemed confident and carefree, Keanu quietly battled self-doubt. He wasn't the loud kid. He wasn't the popular one. He was the boy who observed more than he spoke. But inside that quiet struggle, something powerful was forming. Acting entered Keanu's life not as a dream of fame, but as a refuge. On stage, he didn't feel judged for his mistakes. He felt free. Acting allowed him to express emotions he couldn't put into words. For the first time, he felt seen, understood, accepted. While other kids dreamed about the future, Keanu focused on getting through the present. He learned resilience early. He learned to listen, to stay humble, to carry pain without turning it into anger. As small acting roles slowly came his way, there was no sense of victory, only cautious hope. Because even then, life was quietly preparing challenges that success could never erase. The kind of challenges that money can't fix and fame can't protect you from. Before the spotlight, before the awards, before the admiration, there was a young boy learning how to stand alone. And that early pain would later shape the man the world would grow to respect, not just for his talent, but for his humanity. After years of struggle, Keanu Reeves finally reached the moment many people dream of. Hollywood opened its doors to him. His films became global successes, his face appeared on posters around the world, and his name carried weight. Fame arrived. Money arrived. Respect arrived. From the outside, it looked like Keanu had finally won. But life had something else waiting for him. In the late 1990s, while his career was rising higher than ever, Keanu's personal life was quietly building toward heartbreak. He and his partner were expecting a child, a moment filled with hope and excitement. For the first time, Keanu was preparing for a future beyond movies, a life centered on family. Then tragedy struck without warning. Their baby was stillborn. In a single moment, joy turned into unbearable loss. The dreams they had imagined disappeared, leaving behind silence and grief. Anyone who has experienced loss knows that pain like this doesn't fade, it settles deep in the heart. Before that wound could even begin to heal, life delivered another devastating blow. Just months later, Keanu's partner died suddenly in a car accident. In a shockingly short period of time, Keanu lost both his child and the woman he loved most. For many people, this kind of pain would destroy everything. It could lead to anger, bitterness, or isolation. Some might lash out at the world. Others might hide behind fame or distraction. Keanu chose a different path. He didn't turn his grief into headlines. He didn't use it for sympathy or attention. Instead, he went quiet. He stepped away from the spotlight whenever he needed to. He carried his pain privately, with dignity and restraint. No public blame. No dramatic interviews. Just silence and strength. During this time, Keanu continued working, but he was no longer chasing success. Fame no longer mattered the way it once did. Loss had reshaped his priorities. It taught him how fragile happiness can be, and how important compassion truly is. This period of his life marked a turning point. Not because of his career, but because of his character. The man the world admired on screen was becoming even more remarkable off-screen. And through unimaginable loss, Keanu Reeves proved something powerful. Success doesn't define strength, how you face pain does. While the world focused on Keanu Reeves' blockbuster films, his quiet acts of kindness went largely unnoticed. Most headlines celebrated his roles, his box office successes, or his rising fame. But there was a side of Keanu that cameras rarely captured. A side that showed what kind of person he truly was. Keanu Reeves used his success not to boast, but to give back. He donated millions of dollars to children's hospitals and cancer research, often without ever attaching his name. Few people knew about these generous acts, because he never sought recognition or praise. He also shared a large portion of his film earnings with his colleagues, the crew, costume designers, and behind-the-scenes workers, because he believed that movies are a team effort. Everyone deserves to feel valued, not just the actors on screen. This selflessness became a quiet signature of his character. Outside of work, Keanu lived with humility. Fans often saw him riding the subway in plain clothes, blending in with everyday people. He would sit quietly, observing and listening, showing patience and respect to those around him. There were countless stories of him noticing someone having a rough day and stopping to offer a kind word, a smile, or even just a moment of attention. To Keanu, no person was too small or insignificant for kindness. What made Keanu's generosity even more remarkable was the fact that he carried immense personal pain. He had experienced heartbreak, loss, and grief that could have made anyone bitter or closed off. Yet, instead of letting his suffering harden him, it seemed to make him gentler. He understood struggle, and that understanding translated into compassion for others. He never used his hardships as an excuse to act selfishly or cruelly. On the contrary, they shaped his empathy and patience. Keanu Reeves showed the world that true kindness often exists in the shadows, away from cameras, headlines, and social media attention. It's quiet, consistent, and authentic. While millions admired him for his talent on screen, those who observed his everyday actions realized that his real strength lay in his humanity. This side of Keanu, humble, giving, and genuinely caring, reminds us that even in the darkest times, we can choose to be a light for others. Once, Keanu Reeves was asked a simple question: "What is happiness to you?" His answer surprised many people. He didn't speak about fame, money, or awards. Instead, he spoke about life, loss, and the choices we make as human beings. He said that life is full of suffering. Loss, heartbreak, and pain are inevitable. Every human experiences them at some point. But here's the key: kindness is a choice. Keanu Reeves understands something that most people overlook. Pain does not give anyone permission to hurt others. Suffering does not justify anger or cruelty. Instead, it can give you perspective, empathy, and understanding. Keanu's life, filled with heartbreak and loss, could have turned him bitter, cynical, or distant. Many in his position might have closed their hearts, using fame or wealth to shield themselves from the world. But Keanu chose differently. Instead of letting tragedy harden him, he let it soften him. His hardships made him more compassionate, more patient, and more attentive to others' feelings. That's why he treats everyone with respect, no matter who they are. Waiters, hotel staff, taxi drivers, fans. He treats them all with the same humility and kindness that most people reserve only for those above them. That is rare in a world where ego often overshadows empathy. Keanu also listens more than he speaks. He doesn't need to dominate conversations or show off. His calm demeanor and gentle attitude are reflections of someone who has truly seen life's ups and downs. He doesn't pretend life is perfect. He acknowledges pain, but he doesn't allow it to define him or turn him against others. Instead, he chooses compassion. He chooses patience. He chooses to remain human, even when the world might expect him to be cold or distant. This choice is what makes Keanu Reeves remarkable, not just as an actor, but as a person. Fame and fortune could never teach these lessons. Life's hardships did. And by choosing kindness over bitterness, he shows the world that real strength is not in wealth or recognition, but in the quiet, everyday decisions to remain good, even when it's hard. Keanu Reeves reminds us that suffering doesn't have to break us. It can shape us. And if we let it, it can make us better, more understanding, and more human. Keanu Reeves lost almost everything that mattered most to him. He endured heartbreak, loss, and grief that could have broken anyone's spirit. He lost his child before birth, the love of his life, and experienced hardships that would have left most people angry, bitter, or closed off. Yet, despite all the pain, there is one thing Keanu never lost: his kindness. In a world that often rewards ego, loudness, and cruelty, Keanu Reeves is a living example that success does not require arrogance. You can achieve greatness without belittling others. You can be strong without being aggressive. You can be famous without losing your humanity. These are lessons that cannot be taught in classrooms or earned with awards. They are learned through life, struggle, and the conscious choice to remain good in the face of suffering. Keanu's story is not about the movies he made or the fame he achieved. It is about how a man can face unimaginable challenges and still choose empathy, humility, and compassion. He demonstrates that real strength is quiet and consistent, not flashy or boastful. The world often glorifies loud personalities, instant gratification, or self-centered behavior. But Keanu reminds us that greatness can also be gentle, kind, and patient. What makes his story truly inspiring is the way he turns his experiences into lessons for others without preaching. By living quietly, giving generously, and treating everyone with respect, he shows that your legacy is not defined by wealth or awards, but by the impact you leave on people's lives. Every small act of kindness, every thoughtful gesture, and every moment of humility builds a reputation far stronger than fame alone. And perhaps that is why the world respects Keanu Reeves so deeply. His life proves that even after losing almost everything, it is possible to remain human, compassionate, and humble. Kindness, especially when chosen despite suffering, becomes the most powerful legacy anyone can leave behind. Keanu's example encourages us to reflect on our own choices. In the face of pain, can we remain good? Can we choose empathy over anger, generosity over selfishness, and patience over bitterness? Keanu Reeves' journey teaches us that true greatness lies not in what you achieve, but in who you are, especially when no one is watching. His life is a reminder that kindness is not weakness. It is strength in its purest form.